YouTube. All right, we got ourselves one hell of a show coming on up. This one's gonna be real interesting. Got a consultation that will be. Yeah, we got a lot to unpack, to put it minimally. We have someone here. Audio's good. We have someone here who has maybe made some poor life choices, for lack of a better term. Sorry about that. There we go. Pulling up live chat so that way I could see it. We've had someone who's made some mistakes, and it sounds like reality has caught up to them. I don't want to be rude, but I'm also bull muscle, no bullshit, right? That's going to mean this is not going to be fun for you, but you need someone. Clearly, you missed a few key life lessons along the way that you need to hear them. And you're a nice guy, so I don't want to be. I'm gonna try my best not to be too. Ah, shit. There we go. I'm gonna try my best to not be too mean about it, but boy, definitely gonna require a little bit of an ass kicking here. So let's dive into it. Get someone. Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for replying. We had a little discussion before. I have some finance issues. I am graduated high school in 2016 and have been in the college journey misadventure ever since. Oh boy. So we're not off to a good start, okay? It's almost 2025. In other words, you've been fucking around with your education after high school for almost a decade, which would tell me that means you graduated high school in 2016, you were 18 years old or thereabouts. You were born 1997, 1998, 1999, somewhere in there. That means you are halfway through your 20s, and it sounds like you have very, very little to show for your life so far. That's bad. The good news is that if you get your shit together, your 30s will be great. They still can be, but it's going to take a lot of effort on your part to get to that point. So, ask for a few more details. He's currently unemployed. That's not ideal. Looking for work, or at least some words of direction in that regard. Oh, you get words of direction, I'll tell you that much. You're certainly going to get what you paid for. I'm proceeding to answer you. So I'm asking, you say you've got skills. Thanks, EMB, appreciate that. You say you've got skills. He lives in a non-English speaking country. It's not a poor country, it's not a rich country, and it's got some problems. But there's enough opportunity there to where you can scrape together a good life, or at least a good enough one to immigrate to a more functional country like the United States. Provided you have skills. And what do I mean by skills? I mean economic skills. When I say skills, I'm talking about things you can do that have economic value, which means they've either got to be scarce, right? There's got to be few people wanting to do that job, or they've got to be in very high demand, right? In other words, engineering, accounting, things of that nature, or carpentry, construction, where people right now, there is a shortage of those jobs. It's basic economics 101. So how close are you to finishing your degree? He says his degree is in history. Okay. And he says he's currently starting it. The graduation should come in 2028 to 2029. So you're telling me you're going to spend even more money and make absolutely fucking bupkis to get a degree that gives you no marketable skills, okay? History doesn't give you... The only thing history qualifies you to do is work at a museum or work as a teacher. It's one step above gender studies. There are degrees out there that are absolutely... They're not just of zero economic value. They're of negative economic value because they waste your time for 4 years. History's great, and those who don't learn from history, are doomed to repeat it. I get that, but you're not going anywhere with a history degree. A history degree does not give you any skills that an employer wants. all it does is say you can memorize facts about the past. It means you have a decent memory, I guess, but it's not really getting you anywhere. So that's not ideal. Other skills, you're pretty decent at photography. Okay, that's not bad. You live in you don't live in an area. Your country's got a big enough tourism industry to where you could go be a photographer in the tourist industry. You'd have to have some connections there, but you could go that route. That would require you moving to a bigger city, probably away from your family. And we'll get back to why that matters. But if you're currently starting your degree and you think, right, it's 2024, that means it's 4 years at the minimum until you get your degree. You'd be getting your degree at the age of 30, and it'd be worthless. You'd be saddled with debt, and you'd have nothing to show for it. You'd have nothing of value more on your resume than you currently have. A history degree adds nothing to your resume. It really doesn't. So my hard advice to you here is drop out or switch to a more valuable degree. If you don't like math, it's gonna be hard to justify. What you need to do is an economic return on investment analysis, okay? This is one where, again, note to self, I need to get the whiteboard back. But return on investment is very simple, okay? You're investing your money, whatever it takes to pay for university, but also your time. Your time has value. Time is the one thing we can't really buy more of. We have one life, and that's it. You really got to start valuing your time a little bit more, especially in your 20s, because if you invest in your 20s, that gives it the longest amount of time to compound. And here's the difference, okay? If you invest something at 7% interest, right? As you know, S&P 500 or just a generic index fund. 7% is a historical post-inflation average. That means it's going to double, using the rule of 72, roughly every 10 years. In other words, if something doubles every 10 years, it means it quadruples every 20 years, it octuples every 30 years, and it multiplies by a factor of 16 every 40 years. In other words, if you're age 20 and you're investing at age 20, it's going to be increased by a factor of 16 by the time you're 60. If you're investing at 30, you're only going to get a factor of 8. That's a huge deal, right? So $10,000, the difference between $80,000 and $160,000 decades into the future. That is a huge amount of money. So I would say change your major immediately or drop out. Honestly, a history degree is valueless. It gives you no economic benefits. There's no job you can really do apart from history professor or working at a museum, which will barely pay you more than, a job you could get right now anyway, even at fucking McDonald's or wherever. And there is a McDonald's in your country, but you get what I mean. A basic, minimal skills service job. A history degree is just as worthless in your country as it is in mine, unless there's some, government program that is going to guarantee you a job afterwards. Fucking drop your degree. Kick that shit to the curb. If you want a degree, again, what you need to do, okay, this is my first suggestion. You need to go and figure out the average salary for a degree in your country for that field. So in the United States, for instance, and this applies to your country as well, average starting salary for engineers tends to be between $50,000 and $100,000 a year. Depends on where you're located, and it depends on what type of engineering. Lower side tends to be civils, is usually more government work. Higher sides tend to be specialized, petroleum engineers, computer engineers, etc. Now, I'm not saying you need to go get a degree in engineering. If you're not good at math, you'll probably flunk out of that, so it's not necessarily a good idea. But you could. I would consider, if you're going to go an easier degree than engineering that is of value, accounting's not bad if you can tolerate, it's boring, but if you can tolerate math, that's pretty good. I'd recommend going and checking out Aaron Clary's books on accounting careers. He's done rather well for himself as an accountant. It also gives you the ability to move and work remotely. And once you get a couple certifications, you're good to go there. If you're good with computers, you can definitely make a good career in IT. You can make a good career with the tech industry. Obviously, the tech industry is in a bit of a recession right now in the United States, but that may be different in your country. I don't really know. Business is marginal. A business degree is really only valuable insofar as the connections you get. I'd put a business degree as more valuable than a history degree or a liberal arts degree, but not by much. So kick the degree. So I asked what your expenses are looking up like. He says they're unpredictable. It varies according to need of the moment. That's a terrible answer, okay? You're a 20-something-year-old man. You need to have a budget. You need to track your expenses, because if you don't, you're probably going to run up a shit ton of debt. And that's not good. I mean, we're talking in the same way, right, that interest on, return on investment on investments is compounded, right? The same thing occurs with debt. You want to keep your debt real fucking low, and if you say they're unpredictable, no, they're not unpredictable. It just means you've been too lazy and you haven't predicted them. I'm not saying you got to know down to the penny what your expenses are, but you should have a number value here, okay? I have an example of a budget on my Discord channel. It's just a basic spreadsheet. You can use Mint, their Personal Capital, or Empower. I've got a link for that if y'all ever want to try that. That's for net worth tracking. But no, man up. Man the fuck up. Get a budget. As a whole, my parents offer me support and nourishment. Well, that's very kind of them, but you're in your 20s. You're starting to get into failure to launch territory. That's not good. It's the fact that you called me for help tells me that you want more than that, and that's a good sign. So I'm proud of you for that. But if you're still living at home and you're only just now starting your degree in your mid-20s, tells me that you've made some bad decisions over the last 8 to 9 years. I would appreciate an extra income specifically because I do spend on myself from time to time, and it can be heavy on my personal budget. How heavy? Hence the current financial trouble. The current financial trouble is that you don't know how much you spend. You don't have any numbers. If you do, I haven't seen them, but for God's sake, you need to start tracking what your expenses are. And if your expenses do not match your income, if you are spending more than you take in, you've got a major fucking problem. You should be living on rice and beans until you can start supporting yourself, really. You should not be spending on yourself from time to time. If you're unemployed, if you're living at home, no. And if you can't offer your parents financial reimbursement for the fact that they're letting you live at home into your 20s, at least offer to do chores for them. That's the bare fucking minimum. You should be doing that regardless, but definitely if you're in your 20s, you're still trying to figure your life out, you got to be helping them. Anyway, family also is not that good. My mother would appreciate if I could at least fare on my own better. Well, damn right, you're in your 20s. You should have been faring well on your own better years ago. You fucked up. Relying less on her. Yeah, so it sounds to me like they're getting to the point where they may kick you out soon. Unless you shape it the fuck up right now. So it's crunch time. You got to man up. That's what I said. It's time. It is time, well past time, for you to be a man. It sounds like you've tried going along with the easiest possible route, and it's reality, as it turns out, that easiest, the path of least resistance only makes things harder. So I got bad news for you here. It's not going to get easy. It's not going to get easier until you start putting in work, and then it's going to start seeming easier. That would be advantageous for me as well. Okay. I am not ambitious, not by nature nor by circumstances. Ambition, okay. There is a difference between not being ambitious and being lazy. Not everybody has to be the type A, go out and wrangle the moon type person. I get that that's sort of where I'm at, but that's because I see the value in pursuing excellence. And to me, it sounds like you don't. It sounds to me like you're lazy. I don't want to be mean, but it sounds like you're just fucking lazy. There's a difference, right? Ambition would be, you're providing for yourself okay, but you really want to live that good life, and you would be willing to make serious sacrifices to work hard to get there. Lazy sounds like, you want to do the absolute minimum effort just to get by. It sounds to me like, because I asked, what are your long-term goals? If I can have a better time paying the bills, maybe. If I can hope for that, a job I don't detest and that I can execute, and a college degree, I would appreciate this. Skip the college degree, okay? You're in your mid-20s. Unless the college degree's got a good return on investment, I'm going to say it again. Don't fucking go to college. College is a product, okay? And a university is a business. They are selling you a degree, and the premise is that that degree will give you a better job, a job that pays more. And with your current degree, they're selling you a lie because it's not going to pay better. So just something that shows me I am, after all, capable of living a normal life. You have 4 working arms and legs, and we've spoken enough to where I know you're not an absolute imbecile. You are more than intelligent enough. You are smart enough to live a normal life. You are capable enough to live a normal life, but you are lazy. Okay? I want you to say that to yourself. I want you to look in the mirror and say, I am responsible for the choices that have put me in my current situation. And then I want you to say, I am responsible for the choices I will make to put me in a better situation. Because you are lazy, but I do believe in you. I think you've got what it takes to live a better life. I think you know you've got what it takes to live a better life. You've just been lazy, okay? Now, if you don't want to go be a millionaire or whatever, that's fine. But getting a job and living a normal life, you are 100% capable of that. You are pretty damn well spoken. Your English is really, really good for someone who is not an English speaker, okay? So the other thing is, obviously with financial aspect of things, I'm going to cut you a deal on how much the consultation costs. You pay me some other point, but I expect you to post about my channel and such in your social media. I do. That's what we talked about, so we're good there. I also asked for your resume because I thought it might be useful to critique it. Because, okay, what is the value in a resume? Well, a resume is something you can give to an employer to say, hey, this is what I bring to the table. This is what I can do for your company. And I'd be very interested in working this job I found that you guys are looking to hire for. So you sent me the resume, and it's in another language, so I had to translate. But boy, you've made the classic mistake of our generation, which is thinking about yourself first and not thinking about others, right? You've missed the point of the resume. Point of the resume, again, I'm going to state this. The point of the resume is to explain in a concise format what you can do for other companies, why other companies or someone, be a company or a small business or just, a friend would want to hire you. The first thing you list are your own interests, what you're interested in. The company doesn't care what you're interested in. The company cares about, can you do the job that you're asking to get hired for? So move your interests, if you keep them at all, move them to the bottom. Move them all the way to the bottom, okay? Because even if you have them at the top, what it subtly tells employers is, I care about myself first. My interests are at the top. It's not the message you want to send. Okay? You need to move that down in your resume. You talk about you know, what you're interested in, right? You talk about photography, reading and writing, music. You talk about your personality. Can that shit. Okay? Good resume should start with name and address. You have that. That's good. It should be one page only. Unless you get to the point where you've got 10, 15 years of experience in a field, then you can add a second page. Keep it short, keep it simple, keep it concise. So you can get rid of some of that. Talks about what you do as a planner, as a communicator. Okay, that's great, but what have you done? What previous work experience do you have? You got to put work experience at the top. And after your work experience, you say educational experience, right? Then you've got to say, then below that, you can put the fluffier stuff. Any volunteer work you've done. Any, skills. Put skills above educational. So just go work experience, skills. And when I say skills, I'm talking things you can do that the company might be interested in. Translate from English to your language is a great example. You talk about mapping based on the World Economic Forum skills industry. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds to me like you have some ability to crunch data and map that data in a way that makes aesthetic sense. Okay, how did you do that? With what program did you do that? Do that PowerPoint? Did you do that with Photoshop? I don't know, but I would list that as a skill, right? So you could talk about, I'd put skills. MS Office, seems like you're reasonably good at doing that. The aesthetics on your resume look really good. So that would be something I would emphasize as a skill you have. Let me get down here to decision making. Evaluation of options, risk analysis, and the definition of the most promising actions. All you've done is define what decision making is. You haven't told the employer how you're good at that. Like, you don't. What is the employer supposed to say there? You need to put yourself in the feet of the person, in the shoes of someone trying to hire you, right? Okay, this person knows what the definition of decision making is, or at least knows what the definition is if you look at it on Google. Then you have values, okay? Values indicated as most relevant by the student. What does that mean? That you're talking a lot, but you're not saying anything. Values indicated as most relevant by the student. Is that saying what you're looking from the company? That doesn't matter. That's not relevant to a resume. A resume is not about what you need from them. If your resume is sitting here saying, I need, or I want, the employer is going to say, wow, this person's really needy and offers nothing. Next. So you desperately need to rework your resume. It sounds like right now you're going to college. There should be services at any college worth its weight in silver, or worth its weight at all, about how to improve your resume. You need to go to one of those and talk to someone, because as constructed, your resume is bad. It's well laid out, like it looks nice, but the actual content of the resume is not good. Okay, so growth, operation, like generated on date at time. Why do you need to put that into your resume? It doesn't make any sense. There's no value in doing that. So you've got looking for the you've got looking for the first opportunity, interested in learning new skill and knowledge. You're telling me you've got no work experience, right? You're first off, bullet points I recommend. Your education, you got an English course. You've got a lot of nothing between the time you graduated and the pandemic. So I'm not sure what you were doing after you graduated. Were you working in any capacity? Do you have any work experience whatsoever? I mean, have you ever worked just a basic service job? It could be something as simple as a cashier. I mean, that's still something you can put. God, yeah. So you're trying to get to a graphic design course? Right. What you're looking for is, are you looking for a graphic design job? It sounds like maybe you are. Think about what kind of company a graphic design, that's gonna want graphic design. Let's see here what you got for. Yeah, I was looking at your CV. Your CV is not very. It doesn't. There's very little of value in your CV at this point. But your resume is very light on details. That's my big problem with it. It doesn't have anything for skills. Doesn't have anything for work experience. Right. Your job experience really says looking for the first opportunity. And maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something I'm missing on the. Maybe there's something I'm missing here, but if you graduated high school in 2016 and it's 2024 and you have not worked a single job between now and then, even just a basic menial labor job, what the fuck were you doing for the last 8 years? You couldn't have been studying that whole time, right? That's 8 years. You should have at least had a degree by now. And you're talking about not getting your degree until 2028. So you clearly weren't going to school full time. If you were going to school full time, you'd have a degree by this point. So I would say you need to tailor your resume to fit the kind of job you're looking for. Seems to me like you're looking for something as a graphic designer, but you don't offer any skills, right? What software programs do you use? Are you proficient in to get you to that point, right? You said concluded the technical course of graphic design on microlens. Is it that? If that's the case, make microlens a bullet point. I would say if you really want to go the graphic design path, learn a couple different software for graphic design. Brock, this resume has upset the bull. Hyena's overrated. Lie. Come up with work experience. Do your best not to do that, but yeah, if you really need to, make it plausible, because it's a really bad look if they catch you on that. You may need to find some friends, that what you can do is you can say, oh, I worked for a company that went bankrupt or whatever in my field, and then you can refer them to a friend, and the friend will quote unquote say, oh yeah, I ran that company, we experienced some financial difficulties and we shut down or whatever. So you could go that route, but as constructed, your resume has no. You need a section for skills. You need more than just a profile. So what I would say is, I would say you've got your name at the top. You could, I would say, yeah, it's laid out okay. You could make the column with your picture and your contact information a little bit smaller. You also have beneath contact, you have abilities, I think is what it's said, but you forgot to translate it on your English resume, so that's a missed one. You need to change that from your current language to English. But bilingual, definitely useful. Graphic design, okay, you say, okay, here we go. Okay, it's all the way down here. So I missed this because it's in such small text. You need to move this. Your abilities, put that in the main section. Put that above your personal profile, honestly. I like the bullet points. That's much easier to read. Instead of reading a whole paragraph, it's just boom, boom, boom. But one of your abilities, you say photography. Okay, how are you good at photography? Anybody can sit there and take a picture on their phone. What makes you special, right? What sets you aside from the competition? And photography, right? That's only useful insofar as you're looking for work for photography. So if you want to go the photography route, the good news is you live near some tourist hotspots and you have the ability to speak in English. So if you wanted to go the photographer route, you could find some photography companies in the bigger cities that would be probably looking for, on the ground photographers that, go and take really nice pictures at popular tourist locations for wealthier tourists from different countries. You could go that route. I don't see much value in continuing your degree if it's for history. If your degree is in graphic design, do an ROI on that and proceed with caution. I think you mentioned something about architecture but not liking it. Architecture is one of those things where you either love it or you don't. If you really hate architecture, don't do it. I would say architecture is probably a better return on investment than graphic design, and certainly than history. History is bullshit. Don't get that as a major, and don't go that route. But it really seems to me, I'm not trying to beat you up over your previous mistakes, but you are capable of getting some really nice pictures. But again, that's, especially with the dawn of AI art, right? It's going to get saturated. You're going to have a hard time making a lot of income from that. I would say if you don't want to leave your current town because you don't have really any money to set off on your own, you're going to need to work kind of a standard low skill labor job. I would look at bus driver. If you can get a commercial driver's license, start working, driving a truck or driving a bus. That's a pretty good way to go. That is a stable paycheck. And a lot of times they'll pay you to go and get your commercial driver's license. Don't know how the system is in your country, but I did that while I was in college studying for an engineering degree. So if you really were hard set on sticking in college and you wanted to get a job and kind of do both, that would be a really good one. Security guard's not a bad option. If you're a security guard, you can a lot of the time you'll be left alone. You can study at night a little bit. Librarian or library worker, if that's something you're willing to do. You'd have to be organized, but as a library worker in general, you'll have a lot of downtime and you can study while you're on the job. That's a good way to boost your productivity. So look for jobs like that don't require a lot of skills, but give you the ability to either carve out a niche for yourself, right? A truck driving or bus driving gives you a tangible skill that is in demand, right? And then, or something that, you might not have that, but is going to give you extra time to study on the job. Seems to me though, like there is a lot of work you need to do. Also looks like, I think you mentioned wanting to get in shape. You mentioned having to get some surgery done to get in better shape. And well, that's a bit of a tell. That tells me is you've never really known hardship. You've never really had to struggle. There are times where I've had to be, sacrificing calories, doing things like selling plasma just to get by. And I did that as a college student too. I did pedicabbing, right? So, that's pedaling a bicycle to move mostly drunken students with too much money on their hands around at midnight. I've worked at some fast food restaurants. It's not fun. It's not good work. But those kind of jobs really do teach you about hardship. And the truth is, right? If you want to get in better shape, well, we're doing a lot of, if you're doing a lot of manual labor, that'll burn those calories off. If you don't have the money to pay for food, yeah, you'll get skinny real fucking quick. But right now, if you're at that level, it sounds like you're obese. You've never really had to work that hard. And I feel like I'm coming off as very rude or very mean. But it sounds to me like you've never had anybody tell you the truth about reality. It sounds to me like you've been sheltered and coddled, and your family maybe hasn't treated you very well. They've treated you too nice. It sounds to me like you've been able to live at home and kind of fritter away the first half of your 20s with no real consequences. Are we reviewing resumes? It's a consultation. Acro, good to see you, by the way. It's a consultation. I have people write into me for life advice. This person was asking me for advice on how to get a job. So definitely we are reviewing his resume. His resume could use a lot of work. But it sounds to me like the other thing is, don't be too proud to go to the unemployment office, should unemployment insurance exist in your country, and say, I'm looking for work. I will do anything. What have you got? A lot of times, if you do that, there genuinely are jobs available. Now, you know what? Let me go ahead and look up the unemployment rate in your country right now. Unemployment rate in your country is 6.4%. That's pretty good. And it's been trending very much down. Wow, it was 8% earlier this year. Over the course of 5 years, it has fallen from, in the pandemic, it was about 15%, and it's down to 6%. So you've got to be seeing some help wanted signs around. If you really have not worked a single job in your life up until this point, then bro, just go work whatever. Get something under your belt. Jesus Christ. I would recommend, all right, I'm going to sum this up for you. Based on everything you've given me, I would say drop out of college if you're going to pursue a history degree. A history degree is not worth it. If you're going to pursue a graphic design degree or an architecture degree, or a degree that you think may have more economic value, do an ROI calculation on it. Figure out what the average starting salary is and the average unemployment rate is for someone with that degree in your area, in your country, and determine whether or not that's worth the additional 4 years it's going to take to get that degree. If you decide to go that path, pick a menial labor kind of job where hopefully you are able to study on the job. If you can't find that, find a menial labor job that involves some sort of physical labor, because that'll get you in shape, or find something that requires some sort of skill. I'm a huge fan of bus driving or truck driving. It's not an easy life, but if you know what you're doing, you can make a decent living off of that. And you say, but I don't have a CDL. A lot of places, again, you're going to have to do some legwork, some groundwork, will be willing to train you to get a commercial driver's license, provided you continue to work for them for a certain amount of hours. You may be working a lot more hours than you'd like, but you know what you're going to have? You're going to have income. You're going to be able to help your family, and it sounds like you owe your family quite a bit at this point, in terms of they've supported you through several years of you not really doing much. So, and finally, life is tough. I get that. I do. It sounds like you haven't had the easiest run of it after graduating high school. You don't have a degree. You're in your mid-20s. It sounds like you've wasted a few years. But what I want to end on is a hopeful note. You are young. You're intelligent, right? Your English skills are really good. And you've got plenty of potential. And that's why I was so hard on you. It's because I'm seeing you waste your potential. You've got the ability to be a whole lot more successful, driven, and happy than you think you are. You don't necessarily have to have the same ambition I do to pursue excellence, at least in some form. But for God's sake, you need to at least pursue competence. Get off of this, oh, I wasn't born with enough ambition. I don't really have a lot of drive. Son, if you want to go through life doing the absolute bare minimum, the dirty little secret, okay? Come in close. I'm going to bring the microphone here. The dirty little secret is that if you go through life doing the bare minimum, your happiness will be the bare minimum because you never achieved anything. There is a phrase that I'm a fan of that says the journey is the destination. And there's a lot of truth to that. Take hiking, for instance, right? When you go hiking, yes, a vista at the top is incredibly rewarding, but so too is that little bit of soreness as you're walking up the hill. The sweat that you might start to feel running down your face or running down your neck if it's a hot day. Each step gets you closer to your destination. Every so often you get something nice, like a cool breeze come through, right? But when you get to the top, it feels like you've achieved something. Very minimal. It's just a hike. But there was value. There was effort. There was work done to get you to that point. The same applies to the working world. Work is noble in its own right. It is intrinsically noble because it is saying, I am making effort to support myself. I'm making effort to be a contributing member of society. There is something inherently valuable about that, especially if it means you're able to help out your family who have raised you since you were a baby. But I believe in you, okay? You need to believe in yourself. But no more of this, I don't have any drive or ambition crap, okay? Even if you got to lie to yourself for the first few weeks, start believing in yourself. It sounds like you have no confidence in yourself to do shit. It sounds like you're more willing to take the least path of resistance and do no work. And the news flash is that that's it. All it will bring you is misery. It's true. Hard work brings you more happiness than the easy way out. There's a reason that people who win the lottery in this country, in the U.S., turn out to be some of the most miserable people in the world because they got this great fortune and did nothing with it. There's a reason a lot of the most fucked up individuals in our society are people who are born into great wealth. There's a very, very easy reason for that. It's because they never had to work for anything in their lives. They don't appreciate the value of what they have. So I hope that was helpful. I got faith in you, though. You're seeking out at least some good advice. You're seeking out help. You're seeking out a better path. And for that, I'm faithful that you can execute. If you want to follow up, let me know. I can do that for you. I'm happy to help you. And my community's happy to help you. By all means, ask for help in there. Don't feel like that was the other thing. Seemed to me like you thought you were being a burden by asking. No, okay? I enjoy making this content because it's intrinsically valuable. It makes me feel good to help others, right? What good is having success if you can't share it with other people and teach other people? This is the problem I have with a lot of our educational system. A lot of educators are people who haven't ever done anything in their lives. The best teachers are people who have real life experience. Now, I'm not saying I have, a lifetime's worth of real life experience. I can't. I'm 29. But, right, successful engineering career, starting a modeling career, I'm in really good physical shape. Like all of those things, that was my own hard work. And does it allow me the ability to live in paradise like a king? Yeah, it does. Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you don't have to have that. But you owe it to yourself to at least fucking try. And it sounds like you really haven't given the effort you need to. Just do nothing guy. This is like me talking to my brother, not Ben. Okay. Anyway, that's more or less my advice. If you have further follow-up questions, write to me, askbullmuscle@gmail.com. And for anybody else who's watching this, man up. The world's a tough place, okay? And, you know, in defense of this guy, it's a lot harder to make it in his country than it is in the United States. If you are this guy, if you have done nothing after high school or after college with your life and you're in your mid to late 20s in the United States, that's the big flashing red light should be going off, and you should be like, all right, shit, I need to write this guy. I need to ask bullmuscle@gmail.com. Let's take a look at the comments. We got low-key vandalized. Always change and update your resume per job application. Yes, definitely tailor your resume to the job you are applying to. Because when you do that, it shows the employer, this person knows what we're looking for, and he's trying to show that he fits that, or at least he can do that. Hyenas are overrated. Lie, come up with work experience. To an extent, to the extent that you have a way to cover it if they call you on that, right? It's like poker. You're bluffing, you better know what you're doing, because if they catch you on that bluff, you're fucked. And that can really tarnish your reputation. Brock, this resume has upset the bull. Yes. If you were physically impaired to the point where you could not provide for yourself, I wouldn't be upset. But you are not physically impaired. You are an intelligent person, and you have been lazy and need to work harder. Acro says, this is like me talking to my brother, not Ben. I was about to say, yeah, I don't think you meant Ben. Because there's a great example, right? Ben can't provide for himself, right? And frankly, this is a really great attitude, and this is a really great lesson in gratitude. Look at someone like Ben and say, you know, if you're this kind of person, say, wow, he really is helpless. You know, how blessed am I to not have to worry about that occurring in my life? How blessed am I to have 4 working limbs? How blessed am I to be able to go and learn and do and achieve? Don't take those blessings for granted, because not everyone gets them. Be appreciative of that and execute. He's a do-nothing guy, smokes weed and drinks on the job. Oh, God. I mean, look, smoking and drinking are vices. That's okay. But don't fucking do it while you're on the job. That's a great way to get fired. And you should get fired if you're doing that. And won't seek a better life. You gave him a job for a month. All he had to do is build his resume and go get job interviews. He got job interviews, didn't take a single job, went back to the job, lets him get high and drunk on it. And you know what bothers me about that? Someone like that is going to, whenever they eventually lose that job due to incompetence, your brother, he's going to beg the state for a bailout. He's going to go into the welfare line and collect a welfare check that you and I, that we're all paying in taxes. That's what bothers me. That's what really rankles. And don't sit here and tell me that, oh, everybody who's on the social safety net has got a good no. No. There are people who, for again good reason, require help. Things like SSI, I think it's what it's called, or SSDI. But a lot of people just abuse the welfare state, and it's disgusting. You should be ashamed. This is where society needs to bring back the concept of shame. And there are people who look at, you know, someone like that getting high and drunk on the job and say, this is why we need to ban alcohol. No, because that doesn't work. Banning shit only makes it more appealing or interesting to people. Go look at prohibition. You're never gonna get that level of success. Paid him $750 a week to get his shit together. God damn, Acro, dude, this is why I fucking love you, man. I relate. Now, I'm going to talk about one of my brothers here. One of my brothers has had a really rough time out of college. Got a physics degree. Incredibly intelligent guy. Socially awkward and arrogant for a while. And life hit him right between the eyes. And I've helped him out over the years. I've had him stay at my place for a while on cheap rent, and he's bounced between jobs, but now he's starting to get his life back together. But he was in a lot of debt. And I made a business decision with him because I was tired of bailing him out. I said, I will loan you this money, but it's going to cost interest. And it's fascinating. This is why I don't like handouts as much. Ever since I started treating it like a business decision, I think it meant something to him, because he said that's good. You know, I'm investing in Brother Incorporated, to use a term. But he said it felt like it was it was less charity. It was more just we're business partners. It felt like it was a decision made on equals. It benefited me, it benefits him. And he's paying it back quite well. And it sounds like he's doing pretty darn well at his job. And he's starting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a couple other things out there in the Bay Area. And I'm really proud of him. I am. And I hope things continue. But it sounds to me like it's one of those things where I think well-intentioned acts of good really do encourage dependency a lot more often than they necessarily help someone. I think all too often we let people who need a kick in the pants avoid that kick in the pants, and that's not ideal. So Acro, much appreciated with your story there. But yeah, I can empathize with that. Some people need to let life hit them in the middle of the nose, right? We kick them right here. And the more that you help, the more you're actually hurting. It's one of those things that took me a long time to learn, and it's definitely a sad statement, because there are people who just abuse the generosity of others, panhandlers or what have you, people who abuse the welfare state, and the truth is they're miserable. 99% of the time, those people are fucking miserable, because they know deep down they've achieved nothing with life and they've just been parasites. That's what you are. If you are not contributing anything to society and all you do is take, you're a parasite. And you're pretty miserable most of the time. Won't give money out. It's either a one-time gift, $300 if they want to pay me back, then it'll raise my trust. If I believe in tough love and earning the money you make. See, that's sort of what I did with a couple good friends of mine as well. Not just my bro, but I started that way out, and he's always paid me back, always. So that's why I was willing to go this loan. But I got tired of interest-free loans, which is effectively what they were. So now I treat it like a business, and I'm willing to do that for other friends. But all right, that's going to be it for me today. So I will be not sure when else I will be live today. If I get another consultation, I have time today to do another response video. Failing that, askbullmuscle@gmail.com. If you've got any questions, you want to get something from me in terms of a response. Otherwise, I will be live, next weekend. I'm going to be on the Big Island, so if I go live, it's going to be dependent on the quality of the internet of the Airbnb. It'll be a very quick stream, just kind of a, hey, I'm doing this, just having fun. But otherwise, yeah, that's going to be it for me. I will be live in, I guess, failing that and failing any further consultation requests, I will be live in 13 days. That'll be December 7th. 6th? 7th. 7th. Yeah, 7th. A day that we obviously remember quite a lot here. Goal is to try and transform takers into givers. Some people might be able to change, some might. I'm very much on that same train, bro. Acro, exactly. But some people definitely need help. It's the challenge is finding the right balance of optimism and encouragement and a swift kick in the pants, because sometimes people need the latter. All right, that's going to be it for me today, y'all. Take care. Make good decisions, okay? Especially, you know who you are. Consultee who paid for this. Make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. And those values form an ethos to be the guide star through the rough waters of life. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. All right, shoots. See y'all around.